Winning cures everything. Now for your hosts, Gary and Chris.
Welcome in, Winning Cures Everything. It's Monday, May 17th, and this is the live show. I'm Gary.
I'm Chris.
And we have got quite a bit to discuss. We didn't do a single live show last week. I don't know the last time that we haven't done a live show for an entire week. The date for our last live show that I looked at today as I was updating titles was May 5th, and it's May 17th. So it's almost been 2 weeks, 12 days.
There you go.
It's been quite a while, but we're glad to be back. And we're glad that some of you have already jumped in. I see a bunch of you already watching. If you would like to be involved in the show, you can always jump into the chat. Of course, any platform that you are on, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Twitch, YouTube, whatever, all of those will populate from the comment section or the chat section directly into the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. Your name will appear on this video from now until the end of time or until YouTube takes it down. So you can be a part of the show. You can help drive the conversation, and we would appreciate you for doing so. So jump in at any point, and we will talk with you. Chris, we'll start off. How has the day been? How's your weekend been? I saw you firing up some pizza in the grill.
Yeah, I got a new toy. I got a new pizza cooker. I played with that for a while, and other than that, I did nothing. I don't know that I left the house the whole weekend.
It was a fairly busy weekend for me. For whatever reason. I don't know why. Like, I was trying to get the SBR stuff put together yesterday. We watched the FCS championship game yesterday, Saturday. And I told you a little bit about this. Went to a birthday party where one of my ex-girlfriends was going to be on Saturday night. So that created like a whole thing. My wife was going with me, and everybody had to prep and all that. It was just a mess. So that became a whole thing. Had a different babysitter for the first time since before the pandemic. Like we've kind of been relying on family since the whole pandemic thing started, and now we had a different babysitter come over, and the child loved her, the toddler was all about it, so things worked out. But yeah, it was a fairly complicated weekend, and Monday has not been any easier. I will tell you that. It's been absolutely ridiculous, but I'm glad we get to sit here and talk some sports. Birdie jumps in already, said, "Good day, men. Hope you're both well. Chris, did your friend get all the funeral stuff worked out?"
I guess that was a long time ago. I'm sure it all did.
Ben said,
certain. I appreciate everybody who donated.
Yes, I would imagine as much. That was over a month ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was well over a month ago.
So that was a part of the Corolla thing, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So Ben said, "What's up? Ready for the Preds to shock the hockey world?" I don't know if it's going to happen, but it'd be
wouldn't
nice.
be upset if it happened, but I will be shocked.
Damien said, "What's up?" It's nice to see Damien back in here. It's good to see everybody. It feels a little bit like a bit of a family reunion.
I wonder if Damien's a happier person now with Fields in his life.
Maybe. I don't know. I mean, he's still got Andy Dalton. I don't know. After, the weekend, they came out and said, like, Andy Dalton is our starter. He is number one. So, I don't know how Bears fans feel right now, but, we'll see. We're going to talk about some schedule strength and whatnot here in just a little bit. We're going to talk some football, etc. As a matter of fact, we will go ahead and dive into this thing. Let's go on and start with the FCS championship game from yesterday. Sam Houston State gets the 23-21 win over South Dakota State. Did you watch this thing?
I did watch this thing.
I immediately tore up my ticket for South Dakota State as soon as that quarterback went down on the first drive of the game. I said, man, there's no chance. And, of course, they got things kind of rolling in the fourth quarter.
That defense has been unbelievable. I would not have been up. I wasn't counting it out the whole time just because what's kept them in the game has been the defense, not their offense.
Agreed, but when you have a guy that is not super experienced in a championship format, he's
not the reason they lost.
He's certainly not. The defense gave up some big-time plays. What was the guy's name? Iquez?
Yeah, that final drive was amazing. The final drive really was amazing.
It really was. So
it hurt watching, but it was pretty incredible.
I mean, I had South Dakota State -4 from last week. So at best, I was going to push. And it is what it is. Isaiah Davis was crazy. Had 14 runs for like 178 yards or something. That 85-yarder where he Derrick Henry somebody.
He got a lot on one. He almost went the distance.
My word, that was There were some absolutely incredible plays. The 70-minute weather delay really sucked. Like that was hard to deal with. Yeah. But all in all, pretty entertaining football game. Like it was exciting. There were big plays on both sides. You got to see them play in the rain. Then you saw the sun come out and like.
I was about to say the game finished with great weather.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. It was a fun ball game. Like this was, we talked before about the idea that maybe FCS should just move to the spring.
Yes.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with it. Like
I do. I'm 100%. I see no negatives at all.
I will tell you this. It was the lowest rated FCS title game ever.
Yeah, but every championship's been the lowest rated ever. But listen, I just can't believe that. I can't believe that it was the lowest ever because normally it's going up against real college football.
True. Like I wonder, because of the contracts and everything, like I think going forward, if they schedule this thing outright, then you won't have games on Sunday and you won't have games. Yeah,
you're going to get this. You're going to get this thing on. Here's the deal. They need to keep playing it in the spring for the very reason that it's going to give ESPN an opportunity to get more inventory. It's going to get these other sports networks to start bidding on leagues, and they are going to get in on it. Fox's sports network is dying for content.
Hey, do you see what Fox is doing right now?
No.
There's this thing called the Spring League. We hadn't even talked about it on the show, I don't think. But like Joel Klatt's calling some of the games. Like it's
football?
Yes, it's football. Like
what kind of football is it?
It's like another XFL kind of thing.
No,
it's like
God
AAF.
Damn it. Come on. No, just pick up this shit. Listen, I'm not kidding. If Fox called the NCAA or whoever these conferences are that run the FCS, and they called them and they said, look, we want you to do a spring league from here on out and we're going to pay you for it. But we want all of you. And we've got a deal for every conference there is. I guarantee you they all instantly move to the spring because they've never had a TV deal before ever. And I promise you in 4 years, it'll be a home run for Fox and it'll be a home run for them.
I could buy that. I could 100% buy that.
There
by
are
the way,
zero negatives whatsoever. Zero.
The Spring League, there are 8 teams in it. So tonight, there's actually 2 games. They had 2 games on Saturday, 2 games tonight. Next week,
this I will not watch 1 second of.
Next week it is 2 games on Thursday and 2 games on Saturday. The week after it's Thursday, Saturday. But the game this evening is so first one 7 p.m. Eastern and 10 p.m. Eastern. You got the Generals against the Sea Lions and the Jousters against the Blues.
How did this thing get put together? When did it even get started being put together?
I read about it over the weekend, and so for example. The Generals,
so they threw it together over the weekend?
Well, I think that, it started on May 6th. So that was the start date. I don't know anything else about it, really. I don't know what it is. I do know, Devontae Kincaid, who is a former Ole Miss quarterback, and Ryan Mallett, former Arkansas, former Patriot, whatever, or Raven. Was he a Patriot ever?
Yeah, he was a Patriot.
Yeah, okay. All right, so I remember that right.
I mean, I guess he never took a snap.
Chris James.
He was paid by them.
Yeah, he was paid for a little bit. He took the Chase Daniel method of getting paid. So Devin Gray, wide receiver from Cincinnati. Sal Cannella, tight end out of Auburn. Just different guys that did not catch on in the NFL that aren't even practice squad guys. Like there you go. Ben Simpson said, "Is this the one with Johnny Football?" No, that was a different one, I believe.
That was a different league that nobody knows about.
But that one happened in the fall, didn't it?
I'm not interested in this at all, Gary.
I don't know. It's strange. It's certainly strange.
Dumbest shit on the planet. Give me FCS. These are real schools with real fans, with real support, and give it to me in the spring as soon as college football is over with. I'm talking 1 week after college football ends. I need this starting.
Start it up the very next week. I'd be okay with that.
If you want to give me a 1 week moratorium, I'm okay with that. After that, but the last week of January, I need FCS kicking off, cranking this thing up.
I think it's a good idea. So, cheers to Sam Houston. First FCS title for that school, and they've got a pretty big history. I mean, it's a traditional school. They've done big things. People said that they were going to be pretty good this year. They went 7-5 last year. I didn't necessarily buy it, and even in the playoffs, I felt like they kind of got lucky at several spots. But sometimes a little bit of luck helps you.
It's hard for me to call them lucky. I picked against them every game in the playoffs, not just to not cover, but to lose every one of them outright. And I don't know that it's luck. At some point in time, you just got to be better than other people. They played well. I watched a lot of their games. I had financial interest in their failure, and they didn't fail. They played really well.
Yeah, that's 100%.
They made big-time plays when it mattered.
Damien said the spring league sounds exactly like that basketball league that Ice Cube owns.
That's exactly what I was thinking. This is some bullshit league.
This is way different because at least with the big three, there's name recognition. There's guys that you have watched play before. With this, it is a bunch of no names that you ain't ever heard of. Like, you might have heard of them if you're a college football fan.
If these guys have TV contracts, but the FCS doesn't, we have a problem. We have a gross problem.
I'm going to wager that it's not a big TV contract.
I don't care. These teams should be on television, not on the internet.
Oh, you're talking about the FCS stuff. Yes. Sorry. I had it twisted in my head for some reason.
I'm going to tell you that, like, if I was CBS, if I was Turner right now, my CBS Sports Network that's dying for content, if I was NBC Sports right now, see, NBC Sports probably didn't want it because right now, like, they're heavily invested in hockey, and this is going to go head to head with hockey. So they might not want, but Turner absolutely. CBS Sports, pick that shit up.
I wonder, think about this. CBS right now does not, after 3 seasons from now, CBS does not have a conference that they are, super affiliated with. At least not for CBS.
I think they're going to.
I'm sure that they will. Ben said NBC's done with hockey after we've talked about that on here before.
Yeah.
But I wonder if it wouldn't make sense for CBS to just negotiate the rights with the NCAA, which I know you and I are not big fans of, but negotiate the rights with the NCAA and then just every Saturday have the biggest FCS game, and you get to choose from all of those conferences. So you can have Jackson State if you want to. You can have, like, all of those are kind of under the same tier.
As long as it's in the fall, I'm in the spring, I'm okay.
Yeah.
If you cannot have a CBS Saturday with North Dakota State, playing
and South Dakota State.
No, that can't be the CBS 2:30 game of the week, Gary.
Yeah, you're probably right. You were probably right. I don't know what CBS
Alabama LSU game of the century twice to this
to North Dakota State and South Dakota State, the Dakota marker.
That cannot happen. that's not
well,
okay.
That's on CBS. They didn't want to pony up for the SEC.
I get it, but they'll pick up another conference. I guarantee you they'll pick a conference.
I would imagine it'll probably be the Pac-12, and I'm going to guess we might have some
They're
Pac-12
the
expansion.
only one without a TV deal.
Well, I mean, here in just a few years, they'll be renegotiating, figuring all that stuff out, and I mean, we're going to talk about the Pac-12 commissioner here in just a little bit, so we'll get to it then. Akbar jumps in. What's up, guys? Always great listening to your shows. Well, we certainly appreciate it. Good to see Akbar in here. Let's talk about the Broncos real quick. So they made a historical hire today. Or was it over the weekend? Whenever it was. I guess it was announced this morning. So cheers to that. Kelly Kleine from the Minnesota Vikings. They have moved her to the front office in a historic scouting hire. She is the executive director of football operations and the special advisor to general manager George Patton, the team announced on Monday. Kleine, who is 30 years old, is believed to be the highest-ranking female scouting executive ever with an NFL team. Their quote on it is, "Kelly is a rising star in the NFL, and we are fortunate to add someone of her caliber to the Denver Broncos," Patton said in a statement announcing the news. Having worked with her for 9 years in Minnesota, Kelly has a strong understanding of all aspects of football ops and player evaluation, along with outstanding leadership qualities. She will be a tremendous resource with her experience on the pro and college sides, as well as her knowledge of grading, scale, and football calendar. Basically, she's going to be the primary liaison for the team's football ops, and she's going to oversee various areas of the pro and college scouting departments, including player evaluation, preparation for the draft, and the free agency. She'll oversee the video and equipment departments. This is a pretty big deal. I mean, she was with the Vikings for 10 years, and which is kind of nuts in and of itself, right? Like 10 seasons in Minnesota, and she's only 30 years old. Like, she started young, man. This is pretty cool. Damian jumps in, of course. Screw the Broncos. They got Fuller. So I like it. I think this is a pretty big hire. You are going to see more women, and this is one of the things Chris and I have talked about with white wide receivers, right? Like, there's a market inefficiency there that Bill Belichick was able to take advantage of, right?
Yes.
Like, for whatever reason, white wide receivers were going super late in the draft and whatnot, and he took advantage of that.
Well, they just weren't getting paid.
Yeah.
They're just going to cost you a lot less because it just looks different. It looks weird. It's not what you're used to at the wide receiver position.
And you are going to see the same thing with female coaches, female execs in the NFL, just because they have not played, just because they, et cetera, just because it doesn't look normal, doesn't mean they don't know what they're doing. Like, if you find the right person for a job,
where analytics is analytics, man.
Yeah,
like
meritocracy, man. That's what this sport is.
Yeah.
If you're good at your job, you're going to get paid.
If you can grade players, then you can do a lot of things. It's so funny when athletes get mad, and the first thing they throw out at media writers is, "Well, you didn't play. You don't know." Like, pretty sure Bill Belichick didn't play football either. And nobody the man has not been born. The individual has not been born that knows more about football than him. Okay.
Yeah.
Guy who didn't play football. He played lacrosse. He knows more about lacrosse than that. All right.
Sam Walter jumps in, our boy from the Westlot Pirates, said, hell yeah, we did. Love this. It's a good hire. Like, again, if you hire good people that know what they're doing, it's going to make your organization better. Like, that's the biggest thing. Find the market inefficiency, get it at a reasonable price, and then, eventually you're going to have to pay for it. But, I think we're going to see more women get chances in this sport, and I think it's a good thing. This is not the way that this sport is built now, it's not just a bunch of old heads that have all played the sport. Like Chris and I were just talking about. This is a good thing. We're moving in the right direction. So I'm a fan of it. So anything else we need to hit on with it?
No, man.
Nothing. All right. Let's talk about the NBA right quick. We don't spend a long time on this subject, but partly because, like, for whatever reason, nobody has really cared about the NBA this year. And I don't blame them necessarily.
But we have not cared. I can't speak for the rest of the world out there. I can only speak for myself.
I will speak for the rest of the world when I say that that not a lot of people have cared, because the ratings for the NBA this year have gone down drastically.
Yeah,
and I understand
ratings aren't a good significant value of that, because ratings have been going down for years.
They have, but they haven't gone down like this. I mean, this is next level going down. So they've never seen anything like this. It's like 3 times lower than what it typically is. It's even worse than last year during the bubble, which wasn't great in and of itself. So that's definitely not good. But either way, the NBA playoffs are getting ready to roll, and people, I believe, will start paying attention more so now, right? The NBA regular season has been devalued over the last, 5 years or so. It's kind of gone downhill.
That's right.
And so, but now we've got the playoffs, and we have something new that kind of started last year, kind of, sort of. But
was this in last year? Last year when the bubble, I don't remember them doing this.
It wasn't a play-in tournament. It was a play-in game last year, and it was between the 8 and 9 seeds, and those two teams played one game if the 8 seed won, and 2 games if the 9 seed won. So the 9 seed would have to beat the 8 seed twice.
In a row. Not 2 out of 3.
Right.
Had to beat them twice.
In a row. Had to beat them twice in a row, and the 8 seed only had to win one of those games. So that's the way it was set up last go-round. Now we have a play-in tournament. So the 9 and 10 seeds still have a shot here. The 7 and 8 seeds are going to play, right? So in the West, right now, you've got the Lakers and the Warriors playing. The Lakers are the 7 seed, the Warriors are the 8 seed. They are going to play. The winner automatically goes into the tournament, right? So the winner gets the 7 seed. And the loser goes into a matchup against the winner of the 9-10 seed, which is Memphis and San Antonio. So the Grizzlies and Spurs are playing against each other. Grizzlies are the 9 seed. They're hosting. And the Spurs, of course, 10 seed. The winner of that plays the loser of the Warriors and the Lakers. And then the winner of that goes in and they get to be the 8 seed. So whether you're 7, 8, 9, 10, you have a shot to get into this thing at this point. And at first, I was not, and I'm still a little torn on it because I feel like if you're the 7th seed, like you should just be in, right? But because you've got a whole season worth of data. And the fact that the Lakers are 42-30 and the Spurs are 33-39, like I feel like that should mean something. And it kind of does because if the Lakers win their first game, then they're in and they don't have to worry about it. But the Spurs can win 2 games in a row. If they get hot, they're in the playoffs. So it's strange. Damian jumps in on the he said, does Belichick really know football? He re-signed Fig Newton, damn it. He knows. You'll see this year. And then Akbar, because it's a bunch of softies that don't like to play and rule themselves out of the game right before the kickoff. That's it. Talking about the NBA. I can understand that as well. Damian said the play-in still sounds stupid already. Chris, what do you think?
I like it. The old man in me hated it when it came to baseball, and then I fell in love with it once I actually experienced it. One game for all the marbles to get in, I thought was unbelievable. Baseball screwed it up when they made it a series now. Now it's not as important.
Yep.
It's not as good, and it doesn't matter as much. That one game to get in was everything you wanted with playoff baseball. It was so good.
It was a Game 7. It was a Game 7.
It was instantly Game 7. It was just one game. Win or lose, winner goes on. They get to be in the playoffs. The loser goes home. And I thought it was amazing. Basketball, I think this has a chance to be really good. Listen, you don't want to play in the playing game. Don't be the 7th seed. Okay, that's all. Yes, we have a year's worth of data. A year's worth of data says you're supposed to be better than the 10 seed. All right, you're supposed to be better than the 9 seed. You're supposed to be better than the 8 seed. If you're not better than those teams on one night, then shut your ass up and go home.
Yeah,
I don't feel sorry for teams not making it to the playoffs because they got beat in the play-in games. I don't.
The
way
baseball
the way it's set up, we cannot have the 9 and 10 seed both make it in. So that's it. That's it.
I think that's fair. I think
one
that's totally
of the
fair.
7 and 8 team will be in definitely.
Yep, and I'm a fan of that. On the East side, by the way, it's Boston. The Celtics are the 7 seed. Washington is the 8 seed. Indiana is the 9 seed, and Charlotte is the 10 seed. So Boston and the Wizards are going to play, and the Pacers and the Hornets are going to play, and then we'll see what happens.
Boston is the only team that's 500. Everybody else is below 500 in this thing.
You got it. In the, let's see, the 6 seed, by the way, Boston was 4 games back of the Miami Heat, who are 40-32. Boston is 36-36. So the first ever baseball play-in I believe it was the first one. Was that not the Cards and the Braves?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you the first one ever.
So I was on the road. We were touring with, you remember the band Bush? Like Gavin Rossdale and that bunch? So we were touring with them. We were in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We were at the Varsity Theater.
Place.
And that place was slammed at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon for this play-in game. Yeah. And people were so ecstatic.
I remember one year Cleveland was in it, and I literally had flown into Cleveland that day for something. I don't remember what it was. I'm sure it was a Browns game. And I remember we went out to the bar to watch it, and we got to the bar like 2 hours early because we had nothing else to do, just sitting, in a hotel, whatever. So we're going to go out, and already the whole place was packed.
Yep.
The whole place was packed. Waiting list out the end. Everybody was just like, you can wait on a table, but you're not going to get, like, all of these people are here. They've been camped out for hours.
Yep.
Because this game matters.
Yeah. It was crazy.
Once you get into the series, it's a 7-game series or a 5-game series in baseball. And the chances of you upsetting the better team is just slim and none. So this is the game that matters. This is the game that's important.
And in Cleveland, that makes perfect sense, right? In Cleveland for the Indians. Yeah. That makes perfect sense. in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, for the Braves and the Cardinals, like I didn't really expect, but it was a massive, massive game. So of course people were going to be there, and it was the middle of the afternoon, middle of the week.
I do think you get casual fans across the country that are intrigued in these matchups, even more so than playoff series once they start.
Yeah, like I think the game between the Celtics and the Wizards and the game between the Lakers and the Warriors are going to be massive. Like, they're going to be massive games because the winner gets into the playoffs. And then I think the winner of the 9-10 against the loser of 7-8 is going to be massive. So I don't know about the 9-10 game, but I think it'll still draw a bunch of interest. So, you know, it's going to be interesting. Damian said this would make sense if the winner between the 7th and 8th seed made the tournament. To have the loser play is dumb. I don't see why they should play if they lost. Well, but
what does it matter then? Like, if they lose and they're out, that means that you can't do that.
No, basically,
you make them play twice.
Yeah, basically, you would have to have like.
This makes total sense to me.
Yeah,
by the way.
This makes more sense to me than just like 7 versus 10 and 8 versus 9. Like 7 and 8 earned it.
You need a scenario where definitely one of the 7 or the 8 seed get in.
Yeah, I like that idea.
I think that's important.
I like the idea. So it's going to be interesting. I'm pumped about it. We'll it'll be, my God, only the second NBA game I've actually watched this year, like all the way through.
Well, I've watched quite a bit, but like I said, but they've all either been Celtics games, Grizzly games, or Mavs games. That's kind of the list of the only teams I've kept up with.
That makes sense for me as well. So I've only watched one Grizzlies game all the way through, but I'll be watching again. So I will watch this one for sure. Let's move to the new Pac-12 commissioner, George Kliavkoff. Kliavkoff. That's it. Okay. Former MGM executive, worked at NBC Universal, has a bunch of experience with all this. We didn't get a chance to talk about this last week. Obviously, we talked very negatively about Larry Scott in the position that he put that Pac-12 in. And that conference has been on the back end of the Power 5 for forever. You know, just bananas. And I think, like, this was incredibly outside the box. And I think that I kind of like the hire. It was totally positioned for the TV contract that's coming up, right? Because they have to get more money for the TV contract. They have to negotiate it correctly, et cetera. And they brought in somebody that's going to understand how to get the most bang for their buck, get the most eyeballs on their product, et cetera. The thing at the end of the day that's going to help the Pac-12 the most is making sure that they build up their product to where people actually want to watch it. I think that's going to be the biggest thing. I don't know that he is going to have a whole lot to do with that because he hadn't been on a college campus in, forever. Like, he knows nothing about college sports for the most part. But, man, I'm kind of in on this because I think the way that you help build the product is you put more money in their pocket. Like, I think that helps out a lot over there. And, you know, I don't know what he's going to do after the TV deal is done because I think this was like a long-term contract for him. Once his TV contract's done, I don't know what he's going to do, you know? So, he is associated with them a little bit because he got the Pac-12 basketball tournament into Las Vegas at the place that he runs. He has been involved in big-time professional sports. And college football is moving more towards that, but he's not just the Pac-12 commissioner for football. He is the Pac-12 commissioner for all of these sports. I'm curious your thoughts on this. You and I haven't had a lot of time to talk about it yet.
So I disagree with you on the premise that in order to get the big TV money, you got to make the teams relevant. I think putting the SEC wasn't the SEC when CBS bought them.
That's a valid point.
Putting them on CBS every weekend made the SEC what it is. That's just true. Getting people access to these games and getting these teams money will make them better. So the product will get better. It's just going to take getting them in front of eyeballs. They spent the last, 5-6 years not having their best games on TV. Like, that's a big deal. That's a problem.
Yeah, when the Pac-12
how many times you and I were trying to bootleg some Pac-12 game that we wanted to watch because it wasn't available on television.
Yeah, there was a a massive. So the Pac-12 network, when it first started, they were trying to get more cable subscribers, and they had big time, like top 15 ranked matchups. So between like Oregon and Washington, Oregon and USC, whatever. And the game was on the Pac-12 network, but none of the cable subscribing companies had
carried it.
Yeah, they weren't distributing it. So there was no way to watch these games.
No,
and eventually,
I didn't even have an option to call DirecTV and tell them I wanted it. It wasn't something I could buy.
Yeah, it was really strange. Now, eventually they worked a deal out with ESPN where if it was like a big-time game, ESPN would pick it up for them, and it wouldn't be a Pac-12 network game because they realized, oh, crap, if nobody can see, like, our best games, that's going to hurt us in the long run.
People need to be able to see all their games.
Agreed.
The reason Kentucky's been able to build their brand and transform that school from what they were to what they are is because being on CBS once a year and being on the SEC network every game, ESPN, every game, people around the country being able to find their game.
Yes, it helps a ton. And I think, the CBS Sports Network does not have a Power 5 league associated with it. CBS is not going to have every Pac-12 game, but they could have one major Pac-12 game every week. And we say CBS because that is the one that doesn't have a tie-in as of right now. ESPN and Fox have bought up basically everything else. Sans, Notre Dame, who's got the NBC contract. I don't know that NBC is super interested in another league, but CBS, I don't know what they're going to do on Saturdays they might just go golf. They might just do whatever. But
there's zero chance they will have no footprint.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I think that the Pac-12,
there's zero chance that'll happen.
The Pac-12 can jump in and take over that portion. So they won't have the inventory, and some weeks you're going to end up with Utah and Arizona State as like a massive 2:30 game. But I think that's going to help out everybody in that league. I think it's going to be big. So I think this was a good move for them because they're getting in at the right time with the right guy. I don't know what it looks like after the television negotiations, but I think this worked out okay. I'm not completely crapping on the hire, and I think that there were a few options that they could have chosen, namely, going with co-commissioners, which was one of the things that was floated out there.
They were thinking of this guy, like somebody like this, and then Oliver Luck. I know he's the guy that everybody wanted to take the job.
Yep. Well, Luck has just been around. Everybody knows the name, and he's been commissioner for pro leagues, and he's been an AD before. He understands college and professional, and that one would have made sense to me, but I don't necessarily know that it was the right hire. I think who knows about this one? This could be a home run, and we'll see. But there were options out there that I would have absolutely crapped on. This is not one of them. This is outside the box thinking, and Chris and I both are fans of the idea of doing something different, solving a problem.
Well, especially when you're struggling, right?
Yes.
If you have nothing else, nobody's going to come in and be worse than Larry Scott.
Yeah, you got that right.
So just come in and do something to make the conference more valuable, bring them value, and make them different.
Yes. I like it. All right, let's talk a little NFL right quick. So this will be one of our last topics. We'll close out with some UFC from over the weekend. But the NFL schedules were released last week. We didn't really get to talk a ton about them, and we're not going to spend a long time on it now because we've got an entire summer to break down all of this stuff. But the strength of schedules that came out, of course, it's the opponent's combined 2020 win percentage. You already kind of knew, but because we already knew what the matchups were going to be, we just didn't know the order. They've gone through, they've talked about where they play them in certain weeks, where the bye week falls, all that kind of stuff. CBS released their list of the strength of schedules. I'm going to tell you the top 5, and I'm going to tell you the bottom 5 strength of schedules, okay? The top 5, number 1 is the Steelers. Number 2 is the Ravens. Number 3 is the Bears. 4 Packers, and 5 Vikings. Does that surprise you at all?
I don't think this matters at all.
You don't think so?
No, I don't think it matters. To think we know what these teams are going to be like now, think we know what teams are going to be good and what teams are not going to be good now is stupid.
You might have a valid point.
Did we know that the 49ers were going to lose $90 million in players to injury
No.
and that team go to shit? No, okay. Then nobody cares. Did we have any inkling at all that Justin Herbert was going to be good and that the Chargers were going to be worth anything to watch?
No, not a chance.
Okay.
Not a chance.
So let's stop pretending that we know what the strength of schedule is going to be right now. Okay. And then we're basing this off of last year's standings, which was a weird ass COVID year where a shit ton of players opted out and didn't play.
I think this year is going to be really different. Like we are going to have no idea.
It's a real year.
Yeah, but the fact that we don't have last year to base anything on, really. I mean, we can try and base it on last year, but like you're saying, we don't exactly know what these teams really would have been last season.
Yes.
So I'm not sure. I do find it funny. The Bucks, by the way, the number 29 strength of schedule coming in this year. Like they won the Super Bowl last year, but because they were second in their division and who they end up matching up against because of the rotation and whatnot. Yeah, they don't have. It looks like they don't have super tough teams to play. But I'm cool with it. The bottom three, by the way, the Falcons, Cowboys, and Eagles. So if you had over tickets on the Falcons or Cowboys or whatever, maybe it looks like it could end up being okay, but we shall see. Chris, was there anything from the NFL schedule aside from Tom Brady's return to Foxborough? Was there anything that you were looking for necessarily out of the schedule release?
Yeah, the first thing I immediately do is start looking at all the primetime games that are scheduled, mainly primetime games before like the October's over with, because I'm not going to New England or Chicago or anywhere, Cleveland or anywhere else, but before that or after that, lot of options. My Brownies host Thursday night or Monday night. I can't remember. I think it's Thursday night, the Broncos. So that's fun. Here's my problem I'm running into is I had all these games I was going to try to go to for college as well. And like, I wanted to go to Chicago and watch the Minnesota game, Northwestern. That is the weekend after the Broncos-Browns game. Yeah, there's zero chance my wife's going to be okay with me going back-to-back weekends.
Yep.
So now I'm figuring out where I'm going and what I'm doing. But I'll tell you this. This is a game that struck my fancy that I really do want to go to. I kind of want to go to the Bengals-Jags Thursday night game. That's like early September. It's like September 21st.
Let's see. Bengals-Jags. I'm pulling up the Bengals right now. Let's see, Thursday, September 30th.
30th, yeah. So yeah, that's in September still. That's a game I'd like to go to.
I think that could be
a
interesting.
fun game.
Yeah, that could be a lot of fun. You get to see Trevor Lawrence against Joe Burrow again. Urban Meyer running back up to Ohio.
The Bears don't have a primetime game that's before October's over with. I'm not going. That's home. So that hurts. With trying to go see something in Chicago. But
a lot of people were talking about how many primetime games the Packers have.
Yeah, but they're all on Sunday night late.
That's what I was going to say. Like 3 of the 5 or whatever are super late in the season, and they're all flex options.
Out. Yeah, they're all flex options. And that was smart, by the way.
Yeah.
That was really smart. If Aaron Rodgers is there, you want all those games. If he's not, you get a punt to get out of him. So
and before that, it's probably not a bad idea to have them in prime time at least sometimes because one, the Packers still a historical franchise. Like they got a massive fan base, and you get to see what Jordan Love is.
Everybody gets a Thursday night game. Every team has to have a Thursday night game, so they would still be on Thursday night at least once. And there's no doubt they would get at least one Sunday night, Monday night game throughout the season at some point in time because of their draw and because of a matchup. I mean, like you could always put like a Packers-Bears game on Sunday or Monday night and know that you're going to do fine and do well with that matchup, even if the teams are bad. Okay. Like that's fine. But just to think because they're Green Bay and they have this massive fan base, like they're owed 3 or 4 primetime games. No, they're owed 3 or 4 primetime games because of Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
That's it. Green Bay gets you one primetime game, and then everybody gets a Thursday night game.
Hey, were you at all surprised that the Sunday night game in week 1 is going to be the Bears at the Rams?
Yeah, I was super disappointed. I think they want to open that stadium. And that's
they want to open the stadium.
And I really am pissed off about that because that Browns-Chiefs game should have been the Sunday night game.
That's kind of what I thought. But I do think that, one, they want to open the stadium, and two, I mean, that's two of the three biggest media markets in the country. And it's, I understand.
Yeah, but LA is not a football town.
Yeah.
They're not a Rams town, okay?
No, they're certainly not.
So
the Bears, the Bears are always going to have eyeballs on them.
You're gonna have 100,000 seat stadium that's just palace, and they're gonna have 20,000 people there. Like, why? Like that's the optics you want? Come on.
I did find it strange. I
would have picked a place for all the primetime games. I would have picked places that were going to be sellouts.
The Monday night game, I will tell you this, it cracked me up to no end that the guys that do some of the PFF podcasts had no idea that there was only going to be one Monday night game to start off with. They're so used to the doubleheader. And yeah. I listened to two different PFF podcasts where the hosts did not know why there was not a doubleheader on Monday night. And
they're just not paying attention. These are guys that take the off season off.
Which is nuts because they're the ones that really focus in on and I understand they do film work and all that.
And you take the off season off. It's fine to take your vacation, but you can't take whole months off from this sport.
It's kind of nuts. For anybody that doesn't know why there's not a double header on Monday night this year, ESPN got the double header later in the year. I believe it's in week 18, right? Or week 17. One of the last 2 weekends of the year, they are flexing their Monday night doubleheader to a Saturday doubleheader with games that have playoff implications. And I love it. I think it's fantastic
it's a smart deal by ESPN.
Yes.
And
smart by the NFL. Get more eyeballs.
Well, yeah, but it's better for ESPN than the NFL.
I do agree with that.
The NFL's not hurting for eyeballs, Gary.
Yeah. No, ESPN having a doubleheader on Monday night, I understand the NFL's not hurting for eyeballs, but that late game, man, there was rarely anybody that stayed up for that late game on Monday night, that first week. I disagree.
I think there was rarely people on the East Coast that stayed up.
Well, that's it, yeah, and that's where the majority of the country is. But yeah, I mean, I'm curious about how things are going to go. Once you get into the next week, what did you think about Dak and Tom Brady in the first game?
I mean, it's fine. I mean, look, here's what's weird about them rolling out primetime prestigious games early on in the season. You're talking to a guy that has spent my entire life trying to diet. Okay. When I go long periods of time without eating anything good, just nothing but veggies and bland ass food, I don't have to have the greatest steak in the world or the best meal for that first bite of real food. Anything is good. I'll take anything. We've lived in the desert for 3 months without football, without real NFL football. 4 months. By the time the season starts, it'll be 6 months since we've had football in our lives. Okay. You don't have to give me the best game of the year right here. I don't need it. Anything will do. You can put the shittiest matchups that you've got on the schedule out there, and we're all going to rush to the TV like we're dying for air. It is just, we've held our breath for 9 minutes, and this oxygen is going to keep us alive. Okay.
Yes.
This is what it is. And then by week 3 or 4, now you got to start giving me some matchups that I give a shit about. Okay. Because now we're starting to become gluttons. This is what I think about how the schedule should be made.
Week 3, you've got the Cowboys facing off against, let's see. You've got a Monday night matchup between the Cowboys and the Eagles in week 3. And you got the Bucks
game.
And the Rams.
That's going to be a shit game.
Yeah.
But it's two big markets. This is where the NFL's killing me. This is not college football, boys. You don't need two big markets to do a big number on Monday night. The worst Monday night football game will be bigger than any television show all year long on TV at all. Okay?
Yes.
Nothing all year will do better than the shittiest Monday night football game. So why do you care about the markets? The Eagles should not get any primetime games this year. You openly tanked last year to get a better draft pick. I agree with what you did as an organization. I don't disagree with it. But I know you're in the business of tanking and rebuilding, and therefore you get the Thursday night game, and that's it. That's the only time people get to watch you on at night.
Here are some of the 12 o'clock games that week. You've got the Chargers at the Chiefs. You got Colts at Titans. You got Bears at the Browns. You got the Bengals Steelers. You got Saints Patriots. Washington at the Bills. I mean, just all kind of stuff. Like,
yeah, you got a lot of really good teams playing really good teams, or at least good matchups or whatever. This is a shit team against a team we think is going to be better.
We think,
that's it.
People hope. The Sunday night game is the Packers and the 49ers, and that's
it's a great game. That's a great game. But like they're you just named off 7 options. All 7 of those are a better option. The Eagles should be buried on the 1 o'clock slew of 13 games every week.
Yes, indeed.
Just buried there.
That is the truth. That is the truth. The NFL schedule is always weird.
Listen, I'm not anti-tanking. But once I realize your team is in a rebuilding mode, your ass goes to the 1 o'clock buried spot.
Yeah, does everybody get a Monday night game? I don't think everybody is supposed to get one.
No, everybody
gets
Cleveland
a Thursday.
Went decades without a Monday night football game.
Yeah, so like if you're the Eagles and you're rebuilding and you're trying to figure all this stuff out,
everybody gets one Thursday night game. That's it. You get one Thursday night game, and then you don't even get a 4 o'clock game. Every game you get from here on out the rest of the year is all in that 1 o'clock slot. That's it.
And then we can flex you out of it if you end up being all right.
Yeah, that's right. We can pull you out if we want later.
Yep, I agree. We'll close out the show with UFC 262 from over the weekend. And did you get to watch any of this?
Zero. Didn't care.
I was able to watch it at that party that we went to, which was not so much a party. It was at a bar, but they had like a gigantic TV and whatnot, and I got to watch. And I got to tell you, that product never disappoints. Man, at UFC, for whatever reason, like lately, and I know I've said this, over the past month and a half, like this is the time when it's a dream for big UFC fans. The 2 biggest matchups, the co-main events, Tony Ferguson lost for the 3rd straight time against Beneil Dariush, and he just got dominated in this spot. And Tony is, he's old. I mean, he's just old. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with him now. Like, he lost to Gaethje. Like, he had that massive fight against Khabib lined up. And now, he lost the interim title fight to Justin Gaethje. He lost to Charles Oliveira, who is now the lightweight title holder. And now he loses this one to a guy that was ranked like number 13 or something in the lightweight division. Like, this is rough, man. I don't know what they're going to do with him.
It's tough. It reminds me of Cowboy.
Cowboy has lost, 6 straight?
Like, watching the end of these guys' career that we've kind of grew up liking and watching a lot, it's tough, man. Like, this isn't like any other sport where, you can kind of see them go out on their shield. No, these guys just, when they fall off and they don't have it, the new guys just come in and just beat the hell out of them. You just see them get beat up a lot.
Ferguson had been on a 12-fight win streak. It was over like 8 or 9 years. Like, he had not lost a single. And now he can't win. Like, they threw him somebody that was barely a top 15 guy and who is still an incredible fighter. But, that's rough to watch, man. It was not fun because he just he was slammed to the turf like nonstop. It's just ridiculous. So that, and then, of course, the title fight between Michael Chandler and Charles Oliveira. Everybody talked about Michael Chandler being Tony in the press conference last week said that he had Dana White privilege. Did you see this?
No.
He had one fight in UFC, and we watched him knock out, who was it that he fought? Like Paul Felder or somebody like that. But he caught somebody in the first round, like a minute in, and then got a title fight. Like, he came over from Bellator and got this title shot and looked good in the first round. Like, dominated the first round. Everybody thought he was going to knock out Charles Oliveira in the first round because of the way that he was hammering on him. And Oliveira comes back in the second round and catches him and knocks him smooth out. Like Oliveira has done a lot of takedowns, a lot of submissions, but this go round, man, he knocked him straight out. And Oliveira, man, like he's won I think 8 or 9 in a row now, and he is something else. Like he's the last one that took down Tony Ferguson. Now he takes down Michael Chandler. Like he is the head honcho in that division as of now. And I am pumped because now you get to make even more fights because you got Dustin Poirier coming up. You got Gaethje that could end up fighting Oliveira. Like that lightweight division is awesome. I am stoked to see what's going to end up happening. Obviously, the next big one is in June with Nate Diaz and Leon Edwards. And it's the Izzy Adesanya fight. So lots of big stuff coming up in UFC, and we'll talk about all that more as the time comes. But as of right now, I think it's time for us to wrap this up. Is there anything else we need to hit?
That's it, brother.
That is it. We got it in under an hour. Look at that. Look at that. It was nice to get back to doing it live. You know, we hadn't gotten to do that in a while. Damien, by the way, said, screw all the games. Seeing Justin Fields will steal the show. You agree? I mean, We'll see. Andy Dalton's still QB1 for right now, though. So he got to beat out the Red Rocket. All right. Go to winningcureseverything.com. Go to sbrpicks.com/NCAAF. Do us a favor and subscribe on YouTube and on the podcast, whatever your podcast feed is, whether it's Spotify, Google, Apple, etc., whatever. Just hit the subscribe button for us. Make sure that you are downloading the episodes. We would certainly appreciate that. With that said, let's get out of here. You guys take care of yourself, take care of each other, and hopefully all of your tickets cash this week. Thanks for checking out Winning Cures Everything. If you want to keep up with us, hit subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast app. Visit the website at winningcureseverything.com, or you can like us on Facebook or follow us at Winning Cures, at Gary WCE, or at Chris B. Giannini on Twitter. Share out the show, leave a nice